Welcome back to Safa's Unscripted. Thank you very much for supporting and loving the first 9 episodes of Safa's Unscripted. Please remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are with the host, Casual Bias Rugby, Brett Burns in the middle, and Brevan Abst on the wing. Boys, we have some big news that came through. Owen Farrell deciding not to play the Six Nations. Now, of course, this is a bit deeper. We know he got attacked on social media for the past couple of years before the Rugby World Cup. Of course, with that tackle, with the red card, the decision not going in the world's favour, so to say, with what the Rugby Union decided. But then it got overturned. Quick thoughts. What are we thinking about Owen Farrell deciding to step down as captain and not play this coming season Six Nations?
So off air, before we started this episode, I just told Brevan there that stress is a myth. And I think that I personally believe that if a person goes through stuff on social media, just hop off social media. Just block it all out. Do what you need to do and play the game that we love so much. I think society has made it so easy for people to have excuses. So easy for people to cry foul when they're the ones at fault. So I think maybe harden up a bit.
I'm going a completely opposite direction here. As much as we dislike Owen Farrell, and I'm not a fan of Owen Farrell, I don't think it is justified what gets said to him. Yes, he may not be the guy that we enjoy. We think he's cocky. We think he's arrogant. You know, when he goes in for the tackle, we think he thinks that he's above the law. But in reality, it doesn't justify online abuse, especially towards families as well. I mean, we saw this with Kobus Reinach. It's not great to see. But if I've always been an advocate for, if you need to take a step back from, I mean, Michael Hooper did it as well for the Wallabies. If you need to take a step back, then you do that. I mean, that's what I stand for. But I don't know about you, Casual.
Yeah, well, I'm siding a bit more with Brevan. I understand what Brett's saying. When it comes to slander online, you got to be tough and stuff. But there's a difference between slander and talking about a guy's rugby, about his profession in any job. You can say a guy's not good at his job, but when it comes to the threats that he received to his family and those type of stuff, of course, even his father having to answer questions during the World Cup about his son with that stuff. But I have to agree with Brevan as well. We don't like Owen Farrell. When he hit that drop goal that was insane in the World Cup and he gave me that smirk, I was like, I'll fly over to England and punch the guy right there on the field and get banned. Like, he's a smug little shit. But
let me just rectify what I said there. So it comes off that I say that people can slander and people can insult people online. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the abuse towards the families, yes, I get it's as wrong as it can be. I'm not advocating for that at all. Like on our social media, we get the same amount of hate, and like people block me. They send me rude things and then they block me so I can't respond. And I think that if you at such a high position in the world, you know what comes with the territory. You know that this is going to come. You signed up for this. If you don't want the abuse, quit as a whole. Just go be a ballerina or something. Because if you're going to be a hardcore rugby player, you're going to get people that don't like you and people that love you. There's no in between. There's no, he's okay. It's I don't like Farrell or I do like Farrell.
I have no problem with the person going on social media and saying, you know what, this person played terribly today. He kicked like absolute nonsense. He wasn't involved in the game. He looked weak. I have no problem with criticizing a player. It's when it becomes abusive. And at the end of the day, some people have thicker skins than others. And I'm sure they have thick skins because realistically, they've been going through this their whole career, especially someone like Owen Farrell. And yes, he may have brought some of it on himself by the way he conducts himself on the field, but it should still not like justify abuse. So I think I'm agreeing with Brett in the sense that a player should be able to take criticism. And if they're getting criticized, they can't quit because they're getting criticized, because that's not the right mindset.
Well,
However, the
the
abuse is a
interesting,
different story.
the interesting thing is, if you decide to step down as the England captain and not play the Six Nations, why don't you just step down from Saracens as a whole? Because it's not just abuse that it gets for England, it's abuse that it gets for rugby in general. So if he plays for England or doesn't play for England, that doesn't really make a difference for me. Do you think he should have maybe taken a bigger step, or do you think a step away just from the international scene is a fair enough shout?
So I think it's easier to get to, like Nai's going to play in the Prem or whatever. It's going to be easier to get abused like that. I agree. Step away from everything. Take your 6 months sabbatical from rugby. Go lift some weights. But stepping away as England captain, for me, that's a cop-out. That's a... I think that England's going to do poorly again this year. So let me take a step back from England so I don't get as much abuse, because our team is going to suck.
Brett, maybe he decided to just play the Prem because he's not going to get abused because no one watches the Prem. Maybe that's just a fair assessment.
Well, I'm sure this episode would have been out after the game has happened, but we're doing this the week before, or the week before the weekend, where the Bulls play Saracens at Loftus, and it's going to be interesting to see the reception Mr. Farrell gets there at Loftus Versfeld.
Yeah, of course. I think that people will love him, thinking that he won the Rugby World Cup semi-final. He probably thought he won the Rugby World Cup final in 2019 as well. So now he's just getting here. He's got to be humble. He's got to eat that humble pie and sit down and just listen. That's it.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of the game that he's coming to the most ruthless place in the world. Coming to Loftus it's not for everyone. I mean, at age group level, I played there with a crowd of maybe 5 people, and I struggled. So because I wore the wrong color jersey. So just imagine what he's going to do, kicking for goal at a stadium. Let's say there's 25,000 people at Loftus. Oh, he's definitely going to be wanting to retire.
That's one thing. The stadium's going to be packed because the Bulls are on some good form. They got their first home game in the European Rugby Championship. But I just want to end off on the Farrell point before we move on. Do we think that sometimes the people on social media, even ourselves, when we start talking like we are doing now, do we kind of forget that the rugby players are still human? That even though they know it comes with the territory, we forget that they have a human aspect, and these type of stuff like affects you. You take it home with you. You take it home to your families and stuff, which you don't necessarily want to do because we all sit in jobs. And when you have a bad day at the office, or your manager was on your case, well, in Brett Burns, if he was on his own case because he's a manager himself, runs his own company, the man's spoiled when it comes to finances. You bring it home with you. Do we forget that these people are human?
Yeah, Raven, you can take this one.
Yeah, no, I believe people they do forget that as much as we have these thoughts about these players, and trust me, we dislike a lot of them. We really get angry. I mean, like you said, Casual, when Farrell gave us that look and he went like this to the camera when he got that drop goal, it angers you and it makes you want to respond in a way that's not very nice. But at the end of the day, they are human, and yes, while their skin needs to be thick, it's almost like it's a give and take situation. If you're going to give it to the fans and almost like, yeah, I'm the man, well, then you're kind of going to have to expect it back. But like I said, I'll always draw the line at where the abuse comes into play. That's the only place I'll draw the line.
So how does that? So let's take 2 people, for example. So one is Owen Farrell. He's the England captain. He takes abuse from everybody outside of England. Then we have a Willie Leroux, South African fullback, that takes that exact same amount, if not more, abuse from South African people. Your own people and yet he's still manning up and playing and hasn't retired or isn't taking a sabbatical or leave or whatever.
And actually moved back to South Africa to play rugby.
Exactly. Came back to, like we said, the toughest place to play rugby at Loftus. And now all of a sudden people are loving him. It's just, I don't know, take it on the chin and move on. I'm sorry, but the world has become too soft.
Yeah. So, anyway, that is the Owen Farrell story. Of course, it's probably a bit old news now, but we want to chat about it. So we heard Antoine Dupont planning on moving to Sevens rugby to win an Olympic medal. I don't agree with it at all. I just think, what does this do for the Sevens game in itself? To think that 15-men rugby guys could just come over, do what they want. Like a lot of times you see Sevens players make a breakthrough in 15-man rugby. Well, in South Africa, if you look at the likes of Cheslin Colby, Kwagga Smith, Werner Kok, just to name a few, Roanel. Now, you don't usually see it the other way around, because usually people work hard just to get onto the 7 scene and then try and make it into the 15-man rugby. That's like a different funnel to get there. But to think that Antoine Dupont probably just goes from the French team and slots right into the sevens, what is our thoughts around this scenario?
So you had a good example that in a previous episode where you spoke about Tricky Ricky, the sacrifices he made to get a chance in a sevens team, selling his car just to get to training, stuff like that. It takes away from people like that Dupont has literally just ended somebody else's dream because he's selfish enough to admit that he lost the World Cup medal. Now he wants a sevens medal. He just wants something in his trophy cabinet.
It is. I'm leaning towards what you guys are saying. It makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, you've said this a lot, Casual. Be ruthless, and if Anton Dupont is going to be the answer, which I don't think he will be, to be honest. I don't think just putting him in that sevens team will get them a medal. But if that's what they think will get them a medal, then they have to be ruthless in that sense. And that's coming from Casual's mouth when we spoke about letting Dwayne become the defense coach. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that.
I would go the exact opposite reason or direction. I would say, listen, be ruthless and say, no, you play 15-man rugby. You don't play sevens rugby. You can't just switch around. Be ruthless with him. Because if we want to let Antoine Dupont go over and try and win a gold medal for France in sevens, why don't we just say, okay, Damien Willemse, you're coming in, Cheslin Colby, you're coming in, Kwagga Smith, you're coming back since you were one of the best sevens players to ever do it. We'll pluck out Werner Kok as well. Guys that have been doing it for years and years, and then we just forget about Tricky Ricky with that glorious story of his and stuff. So, yeah, you can be ruthless and say, listen, another guy's dream there, it's in the mud. But you got to be ruthless the other way around as well, because if we were to say, listen, we're going to just throw in 15-man players into the sevens, then let all countries do that, because we heard Damien Penaud wants to do it as well. So just take all your South Africans and go, boom, throw them in the sevens. Take that New Zealand team, throw them into the sevens outfit. They would smash France. They would absolutely destroy France because most of those players come from sevens.
Yeah.
Is Michael Hooper not doing it as well for Australia?
Apparently he is.
So when these guys make their debuts, when will we see Antoine Dupont in the seventh circuit? Because surely is he only going to play in the Olympics, or
that would be very unfair? Because then the people that got him to the Olympics isn't even playing.
Yeah, exactly.
That I can agree with. Yeah, because if you're gonna say you're doing this for the Olympics, then leave your club, leave the 15-man game for a while, and train sevens for it's about 8 months until the Olympics. 7 months, 8 months. And you're going to have to train sevens. So that I can agree with 100%. If you're going to commit yourself to playing sevens for an Olympic team, then that's going to have to be your dedication. You can't now say, oh, but I need to earn my big bucks at Toulon. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I wonder how the RFU or the French Rugby Union, whatever they are called, are going to allow it, because he's the poster boy of their 15-man rugby, not sevens. Because sevens doesn't get nearly as much hype as 15-man does, and we all know this. Like
Especially
we know the crowd is stacked on a Sunday when it's Cape Town sevens, right? But other than that, you don't see the crowds really stacked everywhere else. Like Dubai is pretty big, whatever. But to let your poster boy go, your whole marketing strategy is around Antoine Dupont, and now you're losing him for the sevens, because he's definitely not going to be allowed to just play the Olympics, because that would be absolutely ridiculous. I think the whole French sevens team would want him gone, because then you're taking a spot of someone that has got you there. I wonder, do you think they are going to allow it, or is this all just talk and speculation? I know he came out and said sacrifices must be made, but
maybe I think you just answered your own question, that maybe because France's sevens is not as hyped up, they're getting him to hype up the French sevens side, to draw in more sponsors, get more money for the sevens players, because he's there now and we need our poster boy to earn the dough. And if he's in the team, the rest of the team needs to earn the same amount of money. So I think it could be a marketing strategy for the sevens. It could be a ploy just to get a trophy or a medal. So only time will tell, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, he spoke about, not being involved in the Six Nations either. So clearly he is then going to be involved in the seven setup rather than the 15-man, because if he was just going to be in the Olympic squad, he wouldn't. Then he would be playing the 15-man game. But yeah, like I said, I'll stand with you guys on the fact that if he's going down this route, then he needs to be there from now, in my opinion.
well, France also needs a couple of extra players, because they've never looked like they're going to win a rugby or a sevens tournament. Like I've never watched the tournament and thought, listen, France is going to take this one. And Antoine Dupont isn't going to make that difference. Like I think he maybe dies on the field or fatigued. It's a whole different game. But anyway, we're going to have some fun to round off this episode. So we are going to make our own sevens team from 15-man players from South Africa, okay? But we're just going to have 3 forwards and 4 backline players.
Oh, okay.
But the first name on the team sheet is Kwagga Smith.
Yes, agreed.
Now, of course, we can go back to some players that used to play sevens and are in the 15-man squad now, but let's make it interesting. But Kwagga Smith has to be there.
Are we doing our own teams, or are you doing a team, or are we doing a collective team?
Well, no, we're just doing one collective team, Brett. We are a team. This 3-man setup is a team. So we're putting up a team. But we have to agree on this team. Okay?
Yeah. No, let's be fair, yes.
So let's do the front 3 first. So we've got Kwagga there. Are we thinking we throw in Werner Kok again? Or are we going something different?
I want Deon Fourie in there. I don't know about you guys.
No, so for me, Deon Fourie is going to be too slow. He won't get around as quick as because thing is, if it's not like a Sculpt Brits type of hooker, he won't do well in sevens. This is from personal experience. I do see what you're saying, but I don't think he'll get around the circuit as well as he should. He might be a liability. So I definitely throw in Werner Kok, but I wouldn't put him in the front row.
Okay, well then, I'm throwing in Jasper Wiese there alongside Kwagga Smith to scrum. That guy, he just causes chaos.
But here's the thing, guys. We can't just use all the former 15-man players like throwing Werner Kok, Kwagga Smith. I mean, soon we're going to be throwing in Kirkley, and I mean, let's use some. I don't know. It's a weird one.
Can I give my front row and we?
Yeah, you go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so I'd want on loose head, I'd want Chiba Diamani. On tight head, I'll have Kwagga Smith, and on hooker, I would have what's his name, Kobus Reinach.
Ooh, okay. Oh, that's bold. I like that Chiba Diamani.
Sorry?
Why Kobus Reinach?
Because he fits the build of a hooker. He's a little stocky scrum off, can play hooker, and he's incredibly fast.
I like that outside shout. I'm not going to lie. I don't mind
Even-
it at all, to be fair.
Even the Daimani one is pretty good. I
mean,
like
you
the
see
Daimani one.
Daimani stepping against Zebra.
Yeah.
Insane. Okay, so
Okay.
so to end it off, our 4 backline players. We got to put in Damian Willemse. He's on
Yes,
that
that I
first
agree
receiver
with.
spot.
I agree with that.
Who's going to take our scrum off position? Grant Williams. Easy.
Grant will.
You got to be Grant, yes.
Colby's been in the sevens mix. He's going out there, on the center or on the wing. And
But
then
So
we
I
just
would
use
have,
the
I
final one.
would have actually had Colby as my 9 because he's a sweeper. So he does in sevens. You got the 9 that sweeps as a fullback role. So Colby will be my 9. Grant Williams will be my wing, with Werner Kok and Damian Willemse.
Okay, fully agreed.
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair. I like it.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Of course, talking about Owen Farrell, Antoine Dupont, what it does for the sevens game and the 15-man's game, and then deciding to have some fun with the Antoine Dupont ludicrousy, and we created our own 15-man sevens team. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for the love and support. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Sayonara.
Okay, bye.